Hello everyone, it's Becca from BEKAHBOOKSANDBUJO, and in today's video, I will be reading my favorite booktubers' favorite books of 2024. Before we start talking about the books, I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. If you have been watching me for a while, you will know that I am a mother of 2 young children. I am 6 months pregnant with baby number 3. I have a full-time job, I'm a wife, and there are so many other hobbies and things that take up my time. I have a lot going on in my brain all at once, and sometimes the stress and anxiety of it all seems insurmountable and very overwhelming. About 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and one of the first things I did to improve my mental health was to talk to a professional. If you find yourself in a similar place to me where you are overwhelmed by the expectations of your life, I highly encourage you to talk to a professional and try out BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy service that matches you to one of more than 30,000 licensed professionals to help you with your mental health and work toward your personal goals. BetterHelp provides professional, affordable, and personalized therapy in a format that's convenient to you, whether that be by texting or talking on the phone or video chats. It is so easy to get started. You fill out a questionnaire and you will be matched with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. If you find that the therapist you are matched with is not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. You can start fresh any day of the year. You can receive the help that you need. You can feel that weight lifted off of your shoulders with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description box of this video or visit betterhelp.com/Becca, that's BEKAH, and get 10% off of your first month of therapy. Again, thank you so much to BetterHelp for being the sponsor of this video. A couple of years ago, I tried this concept of reading my favorite booktubers' favorites, and I feel like a lot of YouTubers film this kind of a video, especially at the beginning of a new year when people have put out their end-of-the-year content, sharing their favorites from the year before. A couple of years ago when I did this, I watched my favorite booktubers' favorite books of 2024, and I just chose books that I was interested in. I kind of grouped them into different categories, but this time around I had a different idea when watching the videos. I decided, because it is a goal of mine to read my physical TBR in 2025, down to 200, we'll see if we can get that number. I decided that I would read any book that showed up that was on my physical TBR. So not all of my favorite booktubers are represented here because not all of them had favorites that I already owned. So I am going to go ahead and list all of my favorite booktubers down below just because I love them and want you to give them some love and support as well. But I will be reading 10 books for today's video. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see how many we can get done. And these are the books. Ta-da! So yes, I will be reading a wide variety of books for this video. We've got a cozy mystery, romance, sci-fi, a cozy fantasy, romantasy, nonfiction, more like contemporary literary fiction, historical. I think maybe this is more literary fiction too. So we have a wide variety of genres represented. I'm really interested to see if these favorites from my favorite booktubers will work for me. I feel like all of these have 5-star potential, and I am looking forward to seeing what I end up rating them. So let's get to reading. Let's see if I agree with my favorite booktubers' favorites of 2024. I am about a third into The Diamond Eye, and as you saw, this is one of Krista's favorite books from 2024. I think it was actually on her honorable mentions, but I'm still counting those. I definitely understand why this is a Krista book. She is a big historical fiction reader. I think that Krista and I agree really well on historical fiction, and I have loved Kate Quinn in the past. So this book has a lot of good things going for it. At the 3rd way mark, we have been introduced to our main character, Mila. She is a single mom, basically. Her husband, a couple months into being a dad, decided marriage, fatherhood was not for him. So he left her. She is a really strong woman living with her parents, taking care of her son. One day, she decides that she has a duty to her son to teach her some of the more manly things, and one of those things is how to shoot a gun. And so she decides to go through like a marksmanship class, does really, really well, is like the top of the class, and later when war breaks out, she is a sniper. She becomes a sniper for the Ukrainian army. I think she's in Ukraine, or at least that part of the Soviet Union at the time. Now that she has enlisted in the army and is a sniper, her number of people she's killed just keeps going up. She is an expert markswoman. She hits basically 100% of the time. I think right now her number is at like 150 or something. A lot of men don't understand how she is a woman and how she's so good at this, but she just decided that she wasn't able to fail ever again when it came to how she raised her son and how she taught her son about things, especially when it came to her teaching him instead of her husband, who she just obviously doesn't like. There is a second timeline going on, and it is, well, just shortly after the war has concluded in like 1947, I want to say. And Mila, 1942. So it's still during World War II. Anyway, Mila has been invited to the White House to visit the Roosevelt family. And there's this storyline of FDR getting killed, or there's a plot to kill him. Of course, a guy is coming right up next to me in the parking lot. Anyway, there's a plot to kill FDR, and a marksman is going to blame Mila for the kill because she's there and convenient and able to put that on her. That's where we're at, basically. They have been forced out of Odessa because of the fighting. I'm looking forward to continuing. I'm enjoying it. I definitely feel like it could have 5-star potential. But yeah, we will see. I'll check in probably in another third. Hi, I am sitting here about to fold some laundry, and I figured I should probably fill you in as to where I am in the Diamond Eye, because I think I could easily finish it tonight. I'm at like 70% or something, so a little bit farther than 2/3. Sorry about that. Chapter 27, my audiobook says. Ugh, I hate the deckled edges on this book. Okay, so that puts me at page 317 out of like 4 or something. Oh, there's pictures at the back. Cool. 430-ish. So yeah, only about 120 pages to go. My audiobook says 3.5 hours, but I listen it 2 times. So I could easily finish tonight, especially if I'm folding laundry and have chores to do. That's something I'm doing this year. If I'm doing chores or if I'm reading an audiobook, I have to be doing the other thing too. It's the strategy of pairing. It's a great way to build habits. Anyway, the Diamond Eye. Some really sad things have happened to poor Mila as her number is getting higher. She just keeps not missing. She is never going to miss. That is a promise she made to herself from the beginning as kind of like a promise to her son, and she doesn't. She gets hurt along the way. She falls in love along the way, and I mean, just more sad things happen. I was hitting my head against the table at one point today when I was listening because I was so sad because of something that happened. And I love the way that Kate Quinn writes. She really draws you in to a woman usually, and you learn so much about her life that you are just so entangled in what's going on with her. So the assassination attempt hasn't happened quite yet, but Eleanor Roosevelt has taken quite a liking to Mila, and so it's harder for the snipers who are planning the assassination to make the attempt because Mila is always with Eleanor, and so there would be an alibi or whatever. So they're trying to work around that. We'll see what happens, unless it's some sort of alternate history. I don't think that FDR was shot, but interesting nonetheless. Looking forward to seeing what happens next for Mila. Still following 2 different timelines, but they're coming closer together. I think just our last chunk said only like 6 months ago instead of like a year ago and 9 months that it had been. So we're getting closer to the 2 timelines meeting and still really enjoying. So I'm gonna fold laundry and listen.
Ruby, she was made for going west, did not protest my wandering ways. Ruby, she was pretty.
Hello, hello, it's the next day and I quickly finished The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn and loved it. I just love Kate Quinn's writing. Her storytelling is phenomenal. I love how she focuses on women during war and their stories. A lot of this book was true. She basically had all real characters, she said in her author's note. She didn't really have to make anybody up. And I just find it so fascinating the way she can weave historical fact with fiction. Yeah, just love it so, so much. I'm giving it 5 stars. We're off to a great start with my favorite Booktubers favorites. I'm not surprised that this one is a 5-star just because I have given Kate Quinn 5 stars before. Historical fiction is my jam. And the fact that it was Krista's recommendation, she and I get along pretty well with our historical fiction reads. So absolutely love this one. Can't say much about the ending. Super suspenseful though. The plot to assassinate FDR starts, it happens, and it isn't a success, obviously, but I did not realize that that part was all fictionalized. Like, it felt so real. And the way it was weaved into the visit that Mila did in the United States, it just felt so real, like this was actually happening. While the characters were the same in that visit from the US, she did make up that story. There was a plot to assassinate FDR in the 30s, I believe. And so she just said, you know, this could happen. It could have happened in the 40s. And so she included that for a little bit of suspense, I think. So yes, loved this one. Definitely glad I picked it up. And thanks to Krista for putting it on her best of 2024 list. Let's read something else. Same spot, same day, just a little bit later in the day. I am already like a third into this. I'm on page 150 and loving it. This is one of Katie Coulson's favorites from last year. Hi, Mabel. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I loved the first one in this series, Flawless, where we're following Summer and, yep, I read that one earlier, where we follow Summer and Rhett. Yep, I haven't read that one actually, not yet. And now in this one, we're following Rhett's brother, Cade.
And I get this lunchbox.
And she's got that lunchbox.
And I'm inside and lunch in there.
Yes, we packed our dinner tonight because we have swimming lessons. Can I talk for a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So Cade is a single father to Luke, who is a 5-year-old little boy. Near and dear to my heart because I have a 5-year-old little boy. So I see a lot of Theo in Luke. He is looking for some summer help just because the ranch is getting busy. Let's let those guys in. So he hires Willa, who is one of Summer's best friends, to watch Luke while he is working the ranch. Luke?
That was my friend, Luke.
Do you have a friend, Luke?
Yeah.
Who?
And Kate's house.
Oh, Luke?
Yeah, it's Lukey.
Lukey. Oh, Lakey. Isn't that Lakey?
What?
Isn't that Lakey?
No, it's Luke.
Oh, it's Luke. Okay. Anyway, so she gets hired and she is a live-in nanny. I know, I'm sorry. She's a live-in nanny for Cade and, well, I guess mostly for the 5-year-old Luke.
This is not coming up.
Oh, no, that's okay. Cade is a super grumpy guy. He is a little bit older than Willa and obviously is thinking that Willa is super fine. Yeah, he's grumpy. The guy in this is grumpy. But he thinks she's way too young. I can't do anything about it.
And a bow.
Where's their bow? That's a cowboy hat and a guitar. Anyway, so nothing happens until one night in the hot tub they play Truth or Dare, and things start to happen. So I
scared, like in the bathtub. What kind of thing was that? Disco ball.
Oh, you thought you were scared of the
Disco ball.
in the bathtub?
Yeah, in the bathtub.
What's that called? Bath bomb?
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
I feel it now because I'm not scared now, but you turn more water and get smaller.
Yeah, it gets smaller, doesn't it? It dissolves.
And then we have M&M's and then it starts to melt.
Oh my goodness. Mabel's just telling you all sorts of things from her memory bank. Very cool, May.
M&M's melt.
Do you want to talk?
It's M&M's melt. It's M&M's melt.
M&M's in your mouth?
The M&M's will melt.
Oh, they melt?
And we eat them really fast.
Oh, sure.
We have 2 and eat them.
Yeah, I get you. I hear you. I'm going to finish talking real quick. And then we're going to open a box together. So anyway, loving this.
What is it?
Nothing has officially happened yet between them, but it's gonna happen soon. And I'm all for it. I got a special box in the mail today. My book of the month box. Should we see what I got for February?
Yeah.
So my actual choice was, oh, I hate it when the cover comes all messed up. But anyway, that's fine. My actual choice for February was Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. I loved Black Cake by her last year.
I want Black Cake too.
You like Black Cake? I think you just like cake. Mabel did not read Black Cake. Anyway, looking forward to this one. And it's such a pretty, colorful cover. And then I did do an add-on just because I didn't own this book yet and I want to own it because it's one of my favorites. Yes. Because it's one of my favorites by Allie Hazelwood. So I got Love Theoretically. I own everything else by her except Bride. And so I decided to get this one. It matches my other Love on the Brain. Yeah. Love on the Brain and what's the other one? The Love Hypothesis. It's really coldy, yeah. So anyway, sorry for this chaotic clip. I don't even know if you'll be able to hear me in it, but we are a third of the way through the next book and I got some new books to add to my shelves. Woohoo! Yay! Oh, plus the bookmark, which, that's a little spicy. Perfect for the book I'm reading right now. Okay, say bye everybody.
Bye everybody.
You wanna push the button? So, you know how my last update on this was at the 3rd mark? Well, I forgot to update you at the 2/3 mark because it was just so dang good that I had to finish it. I couldn't be bothered to stop and talk to you. Sorry. It was so good. I love this story so much. I love the relationship between Cade and Willa, and I think there's just an added factor with Luke in there, Cade's 5-year-old son. The fact that she falls in love with him first is like so sweet. There was a 3rd act conflict at the end that I did not predict. Wasn't expecting it whatsoever, and I don't think it took away from the book at all for me. I know that for some people, they may not have liked that conflict. However, I was okay with it. I feel like the characters worked through it really well, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. Elsie Silver's spice is perfect for me. I am so looking forward to continuing on in the series. If you couldn't tell by my love and adoration, I gave it 5 stars. Woohoo! 2 for 2 on 5-star ratings. That's amazing. Again, I knew I was gonna love this because I loved the first, but that's okay. So now I've read Flawless and Heartless. There's still Powerless, Reckless, and Hopeless, and I assume we're following the other siblings, or the other brothers. Well, actually siblings, because they have a little sister, Violet, too, and I think we might get her love story. I did take a peek, and it looks like in Powerless we're following Jasper, which is actually like their adopted brother. He lost his parents when he was younger and kind of lived with the Eatons. So yeah, loved this. Can't wait to continue on with the series, and I definitely understand why it was one of Katie Coulson's favorites from last year. I am now a third of the way into our next book, into Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is sci-fi, and this first trilogy was Kara's favorite from last year. I don't know how much I can say about this book without spoiling much. This has been marketed as Hunger Games, but set in space on Mars. We are following Darrow. He is like a miner of sorts on Mars. He is tasked with making tunnels and retrieving helium-3, which will help bring civilization to Mars. He has been told that the Earth is dying. He knows nothing different because he was born and raised on Mars, but he's been told that Earth is dying and he needs to prepare Mars for humanity to come. He is in the class of the Reds, that's why it's called Red Rising, and Reds are kind of like the slaves to the Golds and the Bronzes, the highest classes. And the Reds have been led to believe that they are some of the only ones on Mars getting this planet ready. And that's not the case. Basically, a whole revolution is going to happen, I believe, with the Reds rising and taking over, or not taking over, but just fighting for their freedoms because they have been slaves to the Golds this whole time. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's where I'm at. Some crazy things are happening. I'm on chapter, let's see, 15. So some huge changes for Darrow are happening. He is morphing into something different. I don't know how much I can say, but it's really, really interesting and I am enjoying it. I'm finding that I'm not wanting to stop listening. I want to keep putting an earbud in and see what happens next. But yeah, I think that this is going to be really good. So I will check in with you in a little bit. Hello. I know in whatever timeline you're watching this, it is not Friday, but for me, it's Friday morning. And I was getting ready for the day, ready to go to my last day of work for the week. And we got a phone call from daycare that she's closed today because she has water in her basement. So I feel horribly for her. Had to readjust my mindset for the day, and I'm excited to be staying home with Mabel today. Hopefully I can get some good reading done. In particular, I would love to finish Red Rising. I am 2/3 of the way now. Chapter 33 is where I am in this book, and still really loving it. It's very, very exciting and thrilling. We are into like the game aspect now, where people compare Red Rising to Hunger Games in space. Darrow is really getting into the games, finding them exciting as well, and kind of forgetting actually his overall goal, which is scary, but also I'm glad he's enjoying his time because I like Darrow. So yes, that is all I can give you for now. I'm hoping I can speed through this last third. It should be a fun listen. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what I think of it in the end. I finished Red Rising and it was a really, really good book. I definitely enjoyed my time with it. However, there were some moments where I just wasn't as excited to be listening and maybe zoned out a bit. So I'm leaving it at a 4.5 stars, but I already put Golden Sun, the second book, on hold on Libby so that I can listen to it soon, because there's gonna be cool things happening, I think, with this series, and I know that people just love this series, and I'm hoping I can be one of them. I mean, 4.5 that's still a pretty great rating. So, yeah, I loved how much Darrow changed through this, and the things he is doing for the Reds, his people, so that they can live a better life, a life more than just being slaves to the people in power. So yeah, I loved it. I look forward to continuing on in the series, and I thank Kara for forcing me, no, for allowing me to read this book as one of her favorites from last year. I'm now a third of the way into my next book, another romance. This is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Andy from Andy Reads had this as either a favorite or an honorable mention from last year. And if you do anything today, please pause the video, go to Andy's channel and subscribe to her, because the last time I checked, she was at like 997 subscribers, and I feel like she deserves to get 1,000. So go give her some love. She is a fantasy reader, if you're interested in her kind of content. Anyway, this one, this one's gonna be heavy. So we are following Yasmin and Josiah. They are an older couple, had been married and are now divorced, raising their 2 children together and also running a restaurant together. They have a very amicable relationship, like really good. But they just had something terrible happen in their past that broke them apart. I am just finally getting to the part, now that I'm a third of the way in, where we're learning about what tore them apart, and it's just really, really tragic and heartbreaking, and kind of hard for me to read at the stage of my life that I'm in right now, but that's okay. I am looking forward, because I know it's second chance romance. I know they're going to get back together, so I'm looking forward to how they're going to work through this, because right now it feels like that's not going to happen, but obviously it will. It will be saved. I mean, I think it will. I'm reading this on sprints tonight, and almost all of my patrons on the sprints say they love this book, and so I have such high hopes. I'm really enjoying it so far. The first like 50 pages or so, I wasn't feeling super drawn into it, but now I'm there and I'm not wanting to put it down. So we get different viewpoints, some from Yasmin, some from Josiah, and then we also are kind of going back and forth in time now too, because Josiah is doing some therapy sessions and talking about when the divorce first started and some of the horrible things that happened that led to their divorce. Very interesting therapy talk in this one, and mental health. It's kind of a great book when we talk about BetterHelp, because Josiah says that therapy is not for him. Yasmin talks about how finding the right therapist was very difficult for her, and so this is just a great book for mental health representation, and to tell people that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to chat to people, to professionals who can help you. So anyway, I'm gonna read more, and we'll talk when I'm 2/3 of the way through this one. I'm now a little bit over the 2/3 mark. I couldn't find a good stopping point because this is just so dang good. Yasmin and Josiah are starting to rebuild their relationship a little bit. It starts off just really as friends. I mean, they were always friends, but I feel like they're understanding themselves and each other a little bit more, especially because Josiah is really benefiting from therapy. He's learning a lot about himself and all they went through during their losses a couple of years ago, and divorce, post-divorce. And so him learning about himself is allowing him to be able to communicate better with Yasmin. And Yasmin is just kind of seeing things differently, I think, now. She was in just such a depressed stage of life that everything was horrible and tough. Sorry, I don't know what's going on upstairs. Okay, we've got a little visitor with us. She and Theo had a little bit of a fight. What happened? I don't know. They were making cookies and then they were sad. So, as far as plot, I think I told you that Yasmin and Josiah still work together. They own a restaurant together, and an opportunity presents itself to expand their restaurant. And so they are on a little weekend trip to look at the possible new location of their restaurant, and things start to happen. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how they reconnect even more, and if they can work this out together. I have a feeling they will, just because that's the name of the genre, romance, and the second chance part of it. But we'll see. I just think that Kennedy Ryan has done just a beautiful job with creating these characters and making them have real feelings and emotions and pasts. And it's beautiful to read. So, loving this. I'm gonna finish it tonight for sure. Hello, I have 2 updates for you. Oh, careful, we gotta be careful because there's something in here that could get cut. The first is that Theo is helping me open a package. Here, I'll get it started. It's from one of my favorite booktubers. Oh, Mabel's here too. It's from one of my favorite booktubers, Chloe. If you don't know Chloe, go give her some love. From Always Booked. She has a daughter named Mabel, just like my Mabel. Very careful, buddy.
A baby named Mabel.
Yep, she has a baby named Mabel. And
her baby not coming out.
no, her baby came out. It's my baby that isn't out yet. Can you rip that?
Auntie Sarah's baby coming out.
Auntie Sarah doesn't have a baby.
Auntie Nomi.
Auntie Nomi's baby. Careful, careful. Okay, now let's rip.
It's mine.
So she had ordered a stocking for her baby Mabel, and it was the wrong font or something. It didn't match the rest of her girls. And so she sent us a Mabel stocking.
I'm Mabel.
Yeah, Mabel. And she gave me a book too. You Again by Kate Goldbeck, a romance that I've been wanting to try.
I have a name on it.
And yes, look at this cute little stocking for Mabel.
Yeah, my son.
That's so cute. Say thanks, Chloe.
Thanks, Chloe.
So thank you to Chloe for sending those to us. And then my other update is that I finished this and absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars. Cried. Probably one of the best romances I've ever read. It just has such real characters dealing with real things, and the fact that I have also struggled with depression and anxiety and the difficulties of motherhood, just I really related to this character. So loved it. I loved how the second chance romance played out, and so looking forward to more in this series. This is called the Skyland series. It's about the 3 best friends, Yasmin, Hendrix, and Soledad. Yeah, you can play with that stocking, it's yours. And so the other 2 in the series, they're more like companions. You don't have to read one before the other. It's not Christmas yet, no it's not. You don't have to read one before the other, but they are companions.
Christmas right now.
We still got a while for Christmas. About 10 months away.
Yeah, we have 10 hours away.
But the other characters will show up. And so I'm excited to see Yasmin and Josiah possibly in future books, but also what happens, wow, with the love stories of Soledad and Hendrix. I think the next one is Soledad, and that's, I can't remember. But then the 3rd one comes out this year. Wow, Theo. Theodore was doing Valentine races
Forgot.
in preschool. What's that?
I forgot I was going to give this to Kevin.
Oh, whoops. He was going to give that to a friend. Anyway, that's what we've got for Kennedy Ryan's book. Absolutely loved it. 5 stars. We've read 4 books, I think. 3 of them were 5 stars and 1 was a 4.5. So this has been a winner of a vlog. Let's see what we read next. I am a little over a third of the way through my next book, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. This is one of Jenny King's favorites. Jenny reads a lot of nonfiction, and so I wasn't surprised seeing this on her list, and I'm glad it was on her list, forcing me to read it, because I've owned it for far too long and I should have picked it up earlier. This is all about how racism and slavery led to a caste system in the United States. Now, growing up and in history classes, I remember learning about the caste system in India, like the untouchables and the, I can't think of like the very top class, but like priests were very high, and just like how that was kind of looked down upon as a system, because nobody should really be untouchable. But then Wilkerson likens that to the system in the United States, which, I mean, duh, why didn't I think that those two were comparable? But, I mean, it's obvious, and I feel like we should have been taught that in history. Like, it's just really kind of glazed over, I feel, in history classes in the United States about our past and slavery and what we have done to human bodies in order to feel superior and higher than others. I was nervous to update you. I guess I knew I should have done it maybe earlier because there's so much to talk about in this, but I think I don't want to go too much in depth with it because I think you should just read it. Especially if you live in the United States and have the history of slavery in our past, even if maybe you weren't directly a part of slavery, because not all of us are, but we all are affected by race. Okay, so part one is kind of just like setting up the idea that there are differences between people, and then part two is when she introduces the emergence of a caste system due to slavery. She also talks about like the three caste systems that are known in our world history, India being one, the United States being the other, and then Nazi Germany being a third. It's kind of really saddening that we learned from this book that the caste system of Nazi Germany was based off of us and how whites treated blacks during slavery and afterward, during the lynchings, during Jim Crow. Yeah. And it even says that Germans didn't stoop as low as the people of the United States with like taking souvenirs from black bodies and the one drop blood rule, where like if you have one drop of black blood in your body, you are black and you get treated as such. Like, even that was too harsh for the Nazis, which again, we get taught that Nazi Germany was just so horrible and how Germans treated Jews and other people. But like, why aren't we held accountable for the way that we treated black people and still treat black people? Yeah. Then in part three, Wilkerson talks about the 8 pillars of the caste systems. They are divine will and the laws of nature, hereditability, did I say that right? Endogamy and the control of marriage and mating, so like controlling who you can marry based on race, purity versus pollution, occupational hierarchy, dehumanization and stigma, terror as enforcement, cruelty as a means of control, and inherent superiority versus inherent inferiority. All of those pillars are like the reasons she gave that we have a caste system totally makes sense, but just like hearing them portrayed as pillars that like hold up our caste system just again makes me angry and upset. So I am kind of like rage reading this because every 2 seconds I am disgusted and upset about the way people are treated in our society due to silly things like the color of our skin. It's funny, at one point in this book she says, what if we would have just decided we judged people based on their heights and super short people had all the power and tall people didn't? Like, that's how silly this is. So I am gonna keep reading, even though it's frustrating and makes me mad, but totally worth it. And if you have been wanting to pick up this or The Warmth of Other Suns, I'm definitely going to pick this up. Her other book about the Great Migration. Yes, please do check it out. It's great. I'm home for a quick lunch. My poor Theo is sick today, so Willie and Theo have been home waiting for some chicken nuggets to come out of the air fryer. But I do want to update you and tell you that I finished Caste. Just kind of sped through the last half because it was so readable, or listenable, I should say. She just has great stories to share with us that make it even more real, even though we know all the things that are going on. It's great to hear the real life stories that she shares, things that happened to her, things that have happened to other Black people in our country. Once I got to the end, I'm very glad that she shared like what we should do, because sometimes in nonfictions like this, it's like, yes, I'm presenting all of this information, and now what? And so I love at the end what she says to do, our call to action of sorts. And I'm going to read it to you because I think it's good for all of us to hear. We are not personally responsible for what people who look like us did centuries ago, but we are responsible for what good or ill we do to people alive with us today. We are, each of us, responsible for every decision we make that hurts or harms another human being. We are responsible for recognizing that what happened in previous generations at the hands of or to people who look like us set the stage for the world we now live in, and that what has gone before us grants us advantages or burdens through no effort or fault of our own, gains or deficits that others who do not look like us often do not share. We are responsible for our own ignorance or, with time and open-hearted enlightenment, our own wisdom. We are responsible for ourselves and our own deeds or misdeeds in our time and in our own space, and will be judged accordingly by succeeding generations. So I think our call to action is to just basically take responsibility for what has happened in the past and what we can change about it now, and change it. Do everything we can in our everyday lives to go against the caste system that has been put in place. So really loved this. I gave it 5 stars. Now we are 4 out of 5 books that I read being 5 stars. This is an awesome vlog, going so well. Loving basically everything that I'm reading. Is wonderful. So let's see what we love next. I am on a quick break from work, and I am ready to tell you about our next book. I'm a third of the way about into 10 minutes and 38 seconds in This Strange World by Elif Shafak. This is the first time I've read from this author, but I have wanted to try her for a while. This was Emily Fox's favorite, and Emily sometimes reads some weird things, and this one is no different. This is odd. We are following a woman from Turkey. She lives in Istanbul, and at the very beginning of the book we learn that she has been killed. She is dead in a garbage can. We know that she is a prostitute, and her brain continues to work for 10 minutes and 38 seconds after she dies. Every minute she's remembering something about her past that kind of forms her, makes her who she is. So 1 minute it is her birth. Minute 2 is about her auntie. Just like different things that she is learning or remembering about her past that shaped who she is today, or was, because she's already dead. The way it's written is really cool because each chapter is a different minute. So like I'm on 7 minutes right now, and it says, as Layla's brain fought on, she remembered the taste of soil, dry, chalky, bitter, and then that brings her back to something. So it's always like a sense, like she smells something or tastes something that brings her back to a memory. We're also learning about her 5 friends. She says she has 5 friends in her life, and we learn a little bit about them. We've learned about 2 of them so far, but I'm just really enjoying how it's written. Again, it's odd. It took me a little bit to get into, just because it's this like post-death state. I also am reading it physically, so it's been going a little bit slower, but now that I'm 100 pages in, it's definitely going faster and I'm enjoying it more. So I want to keep reading. It's later the same day and I'm already another 100 pages into this. I'm at the 2/3 mark. That should tell you how much I'm enjoying it, because I can't put this book down. It is just so interesting and intriguing, the way it's written, and just the content, I think, of what goes on in somebody's brain after they die. We do learn later on that this is a real phenomenon where brain activity happens for maybe a couple of minutes or as high as 10 minutes and 38 seconds. So that's very interesting. I didn't realize that was real. So we made it through all 10 minutes and 38 seconds of Layla's mind continuing on after death. And now, what I didn't realize before, the first section was called The Mind, and now this next section is called The Body. And so we are learning what happens to Layla's body after she is found and after her brain activity has completed, is done. So her friends are involved with her body. She's at a morgue, trying to figure out cause of death, those kind of things. I have to let my dogs in. It is very, very cold in Minnesota. 7 degrees right now. Oof, duh. Anyway, so now things are just happening around her body, or we're talking about things happening to her body after she is dead. And then the next part is going to be the soul, which it's just very interesting. I feel like a lot of people always wonder what happens after death, and this is just a very interesting look at it. So excited to keep reading, and I will update you once I've completed it. Good morning. It is freezing cold. My temperature gauge says 9 degrees, but I'm sure it feels like colder than that. We're in a very big cold wave in Minnesota. That's besides the point. I finished another book. I finished 10 minutes and 38 seconds in This Strange World by Elif Shafak, and wow, what a powerful story about life and death, what happens after death, how people grieve a loss, and yeah, just, it was really a good story and one that's going to stick with me. The only issue I had, I loved like the body part. I know I said there was 3 segments, I loved the mind part. The mind, the body, the spirit. So I loved the mind part where we went through all 10 minutes and 38 seconds of what her brain did, how her brain continued to think after she had died. But then the body section just got a little slow. We were focusing more on her friends, which is good. Like, I understand that we need to focus on the grief that friends have when someone dies close to them, friends and family and anybody who has touched that life. But it just got a little slow, I guess. And then the soul part was beautiful. It was only like a few pages, but just what happened to her soul at the very end of her time left in her body. So I'm giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think the story will really stick with me, and I think it's very interesting that this can happen to people. Like, once you die, sometimes there is still brain activity for as long as 10 minutes and 38 seconds. So I think I'll never forget that from this story either. Really, really beautiful. I highly recommend you give it a try. And now I gotta get into work. Let's see what book we read next. I'm a third of the way into our next book. This is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. And what a hilarious book that Krista loved last year. It is so comical. It's about an old woman named Vera Wong who owns a tea shop in San Francisco, I think, Chinatown. And one morning she wakes up and finds a dead body in the middle of her tea shop. Here comes Mabel! And she takes it upon herself to try to solve this murder, what she thinks is a murder. The police have come. Oh yeah, Mabel got Pez today at her Valentine's party. Didn't you? Lucky girl. Yes, that's the Pez dispenser. So she has had the police come, but the police don't think it's a murder or anything that they need to find suspects for. They just think that this guy broke in and died. But Vera decides to put like a Theo. Pilo. What's that mean?
Pee.
Oh.
Pee.
Vera puts like an ad in the paper. I mean, it's really his obituary, but she thinks that people will return to the crime because what was found on the gentleman's body. And sure enough, 4 people come back to the tea shop that day or the next day, and she makes her list of suspects, questions them, brings them together to interrogate them, and it is hilarious. She is the funniest old lady, and I just love how her brain works and how the people around her are trying to also get information about what happened, because yes, they're all suspects, but none of them have like explicitly said that they did anything. They just said that they were like not fans of Marshall, the guy that was killed. So it's very, very interesting and fun to follow along, and I like that we get different perspectives other than Vera. We're mostly in Vera's head, but we do hear from Julia, who is the wife of Marshall, Riki, who is a man who I think that Marshall did dirty, another girl, Sana, who we don't know much about why she didn't like him. I feel like maybe there was some fling, or I don't know. And then Marshall's twin brother, Oliver. So those are the 4 suspects. And it's just funny to see what is happening and how Vera is trying to figure this out. So yes, I am anxiously wanting to continue this. So that's what I'm gonna go do. This was such a fast read that I forgot to update you at the 2/3 mark. I completed Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Can you say that, kids? Murderers, great. He got the 1 word out of there. Murderers. Stop putting that in your mouth. The kids are doing some
color things.
Some painting, some watercolor painting. It's Valentine's Day today, and they got lots of different crafts and candies and all sorts of stuff.
I had a lot of candies from my treat bag.
Yeah, a lot of poppets.
And a treat.
And a treat bag. So anyway, completed this today, and it was just really, really fun and cute. Vera put together her list of suspects and then tried to figure out who was the murderer. And she narrowed it down to 2, and then figured out that it was neither of them. And I kind of called it from the beginning who it was.
I made purple.
Good job.
Pretty, yeah.
I kind of called it from the beginning who it was. I figured that this character had something a little bit off about them, just the way
They
that
both make purple.
they make purple.
Purple.
Purple?
No, purple.
Purple.
And yellow make poop.
Purple and yellow make poop.
Purple.
Oh, purple. Anyway, the way that that character was introduced felt a little fishy, and I ended up being right. I am giving this 4 stars. It was super, super fun, and I loved how Vera brought together this random assortment of people, made them all friends and almost a found family of sorts. I think it's maybe not a story that'll super stick with me. That's why it's not higher than a 4 stars, but I still loved it, and I added the second book
I'm done.
to my TBR.
Yeah.
So super cute. Thought it was fun, thrilling at times because
Done.
it's a mystery thriller. So yeah, it was fun.
I don't want this anymore.
I love Vera as a character and can't wait to see what she gets up to next. So we got another book down. 4 stars. We haven't gotten lower than a 4-star this vlog, which is great.
Hey.
Can you see the blustering snow? We're getting a snowstorm, kind of. Not a big storm, but oh, there's a Yeti. You're not a Yeti.
Where is a white piece of paper.
Didn't we bring up a whole stack yesterday?
Yeah, but I don't know where it went.
I don't know where it went either.
Me either, Poopy.
Anyway, we're getting great snow today. I love it. It's a Friday afternoon, and I have gotten a third of the way into our next book. This is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This was one of Andy's favorites from last year, and I think I'm really gonna like this. We are following many different people. The first that we're introduced to is, why can't I think of her name? Tova. She is an older lady who works as a custodian at an aquarium. We also are in the mind of Marcellus, who is a great octopus, a great giant octopus. I don't know what his actual title is, but a giant Pacific octopus. And we follow him. We know that he is maybe on the last legs of his life because he says his average life expectancy is 1,400 days and he's on like 1,300 something. So expect that something's gonna happen there. Unfortunate, but we know it's gonna happen. Then we're also following Cameron. I don't quite know how Cameron's story is gonna fit into Marcellus and Tova's, because Marcellus and Tova talk to each other, kind of. Tova finds Marcellus to be kind of a friend and a confidant. She can talk to him. But I don't quite know how Cameron fits in. He is a younger gentleman, kind of what's that phrase? Out on his luck? Down on his luck, thank you. Just got out of a relationship, has nowhere to live, had a rough upbringing, and he is trying to figure out who his mom is. And I don't see a connection between Cameron and the other two yet, but that's okay, it'll come. Like I said, I'm a third of the way, so it's like 100 and some pages into this book, and just enjoying it. There's little interludes of Marcellus's perspective, and those are just fun to hear about. He like escapes from his container, what's that called? Aquarium? Terrarium? No. He lives in the water. Aquarium. He escapes from his own little aquarium thing and tries to get food because he wants to live his best life before he dies, and he's so sweet. Tova, on the other hand, is dealing with some loss in her life. Sounds like she has lost both a husband and a son, and now her brother has died. So yeah, just lots of grief for her that she is having to go through and process. It sounds like maybe Marcellus will help her with that. So that's where we're at. Really enjoying it, and looking forward to listening to more. Hello everyone. Sorry for the terrible angle, but I'm starting to feel sick, I think. Theo was sick earlier this week. Yeah, Mabel and I are now starting to feel a little sick. It's okay. Mabel has a fever. I just have aches so far. No fever, but anyway, that's a life update for you. Reading update, I'm 2/3. Theo's doing his leapfrog right next to me. I'm 2/3 of the way through Remarkably Bright Creatures. Mabel's tongue is purple. When Theo was sick, his doctor recommended he have popsicles. We were supposed to go on a date tonight, but we canceled our sitter and we're staying home with the kids. Anyway, wow, my mind is all over the place. 2/3 of the way through this, and still really, really loving it. Now Tova and what's his name? Ethan? No, that's not right. No, that's not right. Aoife. Tova and Cameron, that's what it is, have met, and so I understand how their lives are going to connect a little bit. And Marcellus sees even more so how their lives are connected than anybody else does. So that's interesting. I'll help you, May. I'll help you. Really enjoying it. I think it's going to be a tearjerker toward the end here, but we shall see. I was able to finish Remarkably Bright Creatures very easily today. It's such a good book about found family and how the oddest things can bring us together, even if that's an octopus. so dang sweet, and I loved the characters and how they all interacted. Marcellus was just a great little comedic interlude, but also not even that comedic. I mean, he was so real of a person, even though he was an octopus. Yeah, I loved it. I loved how Tova's story ended up and how it all came together in the end. Just really, really lovely. While I was listening, I do just want to show you what I was working on because I listened to that book. I've been working on my cross stitch, which has made some good progress in the last couple of days. This is going to be a snowman. Let me show you. Where is it? Here it is. That's what it'll look like. Don't look at my face. Can you see it? So yes, I've made some progress. It's slow going for sure, and I wish that there was maybe some more bright colors, which I know later on there will be some reds and greens, but for now it's mostly been pretty blasé. But it's nice to be able to listen and work on this. So yes, Remarkably About Creatures was awesome. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was beautiful, honestly. Just a great look at finding who you are and where you belong, and also dealing with difficult things, with grief, and how the people around you can help you in those tough times. So loved it, gave it 5 stars. I know I've said this already, but it has been just a wonderful vlog, and I'm really glad I'm reading my favorite booktubers favorites and that they're working for me. That means I'm watching the right people, following their advice, and loving it. So I think we've got one more book to read, so let's get going. I have started the next book, and this is the 9th book out of 10, and I think this will actually be the last one. I don't have enough time to read another book physically, and because this is a physical read, I have to cut it off somewhere in order to be ready for Deck of TBR-a-thon. So I'm a third of the way into Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This was Chelsea Zhao's favorite from last year, or one of hers, and it totally fits with Chelsea. She is a fantasy reader, and this is such a cozy fantasy. I love it. I mean, people know about this book, and I don't really feel like it needs much introduction, but we are following Viv, who is an orc, and I don't even know what an orc is. I don't know fantasy very well, but she's an orc, and she decides to get out of like the battle scene and start a coffee shop. Nobody knows what coffee is, but she tried it in a gnomish city and loves it and thinks that other people could benefit from it. So she buys what used to be like a horse livery, whatever that is, and turns it into a coffee shop. She recruits a hob named Cal, and he is a great worksman. What's that called? With wood? Mason? No. I can't think of words. I'm also feeling a little sick, so he is a good carpenter, woodworker, whatever. He works on boats usually, but she found him and he helped her. What? Carpenter? Sure. He helps her get the shop up into like this beautiful place to be. She hires a succubus, which who knows what a succubus is? I don't. Tandri. I'm sure if I read other fantasy books I would know what these like creatures were, but I don't. Tandri is hired to be like the lady behind the bar, or the bar. Is that what it's called when you're a barista? Yeah. Making the drinks, and she only is offering coffee and lattes right now, and they are trying to figure out how to get people into their shop. They are advertising, they're running specials, doing a grand opening, offering samples, and it's just so like so comfy cozy. Not much is happening, but still very enjoyable to read. I'm reading it really fast, I've noticed. Like way more than a page a minute, so that's awesome. And I think the back is perfect. A novel of high fantasy and low stakes. It is just really low stakes, but super enjoyable to read. So I'm gonna keep reading. Hope that I can get a significant chunk done tonight before I fall asleep, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm not feeling the greatest still, so yeah, we'll see how far I can get. I made it to the 2/3 mark, or a little less than 2/3, but it's a good place to update you on. And this is just still so comfy cozy. That's all I can say about it. It's the sweetest story about Viv starting her coffee shop. Since we chatted last, they have added pastries to the menu, which is really fun to see what they're adding to eat for people, because one of their customers who loved to do like homework there was like, I'm not a big hot drink person, but if you had food, I would eat something. And so she had another customer who always had flour on him, and she asked him to make something. They started adding cinnamon rolls and like these little cardamom bites, and now they have added chocolate croissants, and it's just, it sounds heavenly, like a wonderful place to hang out and be. And I wish I could go there. Sounds like a great coffee shop. I'd love the pastries. I would love the coffee. They've also just added iced beverages, which is fun. I thought of that right away when the one customer said he didn't like hot beverages. I was like, have iced coffee. And so they did add that. There's a little bit of drama going on with like someone in the city. Am I blurry? Sorry, this might be very blurry. It says it's focusing on my face. It doesn't feel like it. Anyway, a little bit of drama with like some city owner. It's called the Madrigal, and they require like a payment every month to have a shop in the city of Thune. And Viv, oh, there's my alarm. Time for sprints soon. Sprinting with my patrons today. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Viv didn't feel like she needed to pay those fees. So she met with the Madrigal and they came up with a solution, of course involving the pastries and the sweets, and yeah, sweet. I think something's starting to happen with Viv and Tandri. I feel like this was once marketed as like a sapphic romance, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go finish this on sprints with my patrons, and I'll let you know once I'm done. I was able to finish Legends and Lattes way quicker than I thought, because I had looked at the last page and it said 294. Then I got to like 250 and it said epilogue. I was very confused, but then I looked ahead and there's actually like a little short story called Pages to Fill at the very end of the book. So I did make it to the end of Legends and Lattes and just loved it. This last third was filled with a little bit of a tragedy for Viv and her shop, but her friends really banded together and made it work for her. And I just love this little family that they've created around their coffee shop. It was just such a sweet book. I'm trying to decide, because I enjoyed it so much, it feels like it should be 5 stars, but also it was just so like, I don't know, there wasn't a lot to offer, so it's not like gonna be like, oh my gosh, I love this book, I need to rave about it to everyone. So I don't know what my rating's gonna be, because I literally just finished it a few minutes ago. I might just let it settle for a bit. It will definitely be a 4 star, could be 4.5, could be 5. I don't know. I just really like giving books the benefit of the doubt recently and just saying, well, heck, I enjoyed it, might as well give it 5 stars. But I'm gonna leave it at 4, 4.5, 5, in that range, because it really was enjoyable and I read it so quickly. That's another thing that kind of skews rating for me. Like if I find myself eating it up, reading it as fast as I can, then it would be a higher rating, which I did for this book. But yeah, still really loved it. And thanks to Chelsea for having it on her favorites so I could finally pick it up. Now, this is the stack of books we read in this vlog, it was 9 books. And if you remember from the intro, it was supposed to be 10. I could not get to Spark of the Everflame by Pango. This is one of Kara's favorites. I did have Kara represented in this video already with Red Rising, so I felt it was okay that I didn't get to this one. I do want to read this one soon though, so it's gonna stay kind of on my pile of possibilities for future months. If I can get it onto a TBR, that'd be great, but really wanting to dive into this romantasy series as soon as I can. So sorry to Spark, but couldn't get it in. I had to read it physically. I don't have the audio of it anywhere, and so I couldn't fit another physical book in before Deck of TBR-a-thon, which starts tomorrow. So these are the 9, and can I just say, because I've already said 1,000 times, what a success of a vlog. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 stars, 1 4.5, and 2 4 stars. Or wait, was that 4.5? I can't remember all the ratings, but you know by now if you've watched this whole thing. I mean, having 9 books here and none of them being less than 4 stars is a pretty great feat. That's just like phenomenal that, first of all, I read so many great books, but also that my tastes align so well with my favorite booktubers. I think that's what I loved getting out of this vlog and this challenge, that the people that I love to watch also are reading things that I love. So that's great. And I'm so glad that I was able to pick up these books from my shelves. I knocked my physical TBR down quite a bit with these 9. And yeah, found some really great books that I will maybe have on my favorites for 2025. We shall see. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Do you agree with me and my favorite booktubers? Were they favorites of yours or not? It would be great to have some bookish conversation with you down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!